Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. All right, welcome in to another Dooley Noted Podcast. Of course, as always, presented by Titan MRI, the great people there, as well as all of our other great sponsors. And, of course, we are in the Meldon Law Gator Studios, as we are every Monday and Friday. And we appreciate all the people that are part of this show, that like this show, people that are sponsors, people that do all kinds of stuff. We have great guests, as you know. A good one today, certainly one of the best. Paul Finebaum joins us today. Can't wait to talk to him about a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff going on that we'll get to with him. And then, of course, Coach Spurrier on Monday again. We have him on Mondays. And we're working on, I think we're going to get Kevin Carter next Friday. That may not work out, but I did talk to him about coming on Friday, but I haven't connected back up because I think it may be a change film. We'll find out. My problems aren't your problems, as you know. But we got a lot to talk about today and a lot of stuff going on, and we'll get to all of our stuff going, all of our fun stuff later on in the show. We may even play, in fact, I think we will. We'll play a yes, no, wait, or maybe with Paul Finebaum. So that'll be fun. Yeah, that'll be cool. All right, let's start out by talking about, since we last visited with you, that Florida did not win in men's basketball and then did not win in women's basketball, which was weird because they usually win in women's basketball, this team, but they lose that game 63-59. I watched the last part of it, which was the worst part to watch. Florida went 5 for 21 in the fourth quarter. That's how you lose games. That and 28 turnovers. Nobody had a plus turnover ratio except Kiki Smith, and she was 6-5, 6 assists and 5 turnovers, and everybody else just turned the ball over, and that was a bad game. Now I'm going to get to that in just a minute, but these girls, these ladies, this coach, everybody associated with this program deserves your support Sunday. At senior day, don't call it senior night. People like to do that. They like to say, well, it's senior night. It starts at noon. Can't be senior night if it starts at noon. Yeah, but a lot of, even players all the time, you'll hear them say, yeah, tonight we just didn't have it, or tonight we did this, or what. The game is, it's over, and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not a night game. Cracks me up anyway. But the interesting thing about this is, from what I was told, is they were going to meet with Kelly Ray Finley, but they had wanted her to keep focused on the season. So they did have a meeting. I don't know this for sure, but the word was that they were going to have a meeting this week. And what happens? They go out and lose to a team that they're better than. That's again, maybe she wasn't as focused. I don't know, but it just is kind of a coincidence. Look, it's not going to kill their hopes as far as the NCAA tournament goes, but it certainly, they take a little step back and maybe lose a seed line. But they need to beat Missouri. Missouri's not very good either. They need to beat them and then see what they do in the conference tournament. But people are still excited about it. I know that's the case. I know a lot of people are excited. Meanwhile, the men on Tuesday, that loss to Arkansas was really damaging, mainly because you had a chance to win the game. You had a lead. And if you could have pulled that off and to go Kentucky, Arkansas back-to-back, Auburn, Arkansas back-to-back wins, that would have been almost clinching. Instead, Florida is on the bubble barely because according to Leonardo, they're in the last 4 out. They're the last team in the last 4 out. Is it? Yeah, last 4 outs. Next 4 out, I guess it would be. So they would be at 8th. So that's a long way to climb. That means other teams have to lose ahead of you. My belief, and I do strongly believe this, is that they have to win out. They have to win these last 3 games to know that they're in the tournament going into the conference tournament. If you don't win these last 3 games, and I think all 3 are just as important. If you beat Kentucky and you've now beaten Auburn and Kentucky, even though both are on your home court, that's fine. That's good. That's qualifying kind of. But if you lose to Georgia, which is terrible, They're like 208 in net ranking, or you lose to Vanderbilt, which is good enough to beat Florida. Believe me, I don't think Georgia's good enough to beat Florida. You're going to have to give them the game. Vandy's got enough good players to beat Florida. Scottie Pippen Jr. is not going 1 for 10 again. You know that, and he's going to want to make up for it. But you need to win that game because that's a road win. It's not a huge RPI win, but it is a road win. And if you can get those two, and it adds up, the road wins add up, they mean something. They're on the sheet. People want to know that you can play, that it's not just your home court that makes you a great team. So that'll be an interesting part of that. But again, if they do lose one of these games or the Kentucky game, they go to the tournament, out of the tournament. They go to the first tournament out of the second tournament, the one that's the big one. And they'll have to do some damage. And again, it depends on what seeds you draw. You know, if you draw Tennessee with your first game, okay, that could be a huge win for you. If you draw Georgia in your first game or Mississippi, that's not going to be a huge win for you. And it's almost like you have to win just to stay alive, but then you got to still go beat somebody. I think you see what I'm getting at. So and I was thinking about this. I talked about this on the radio on yesterday. We were in here at Spurs Gridiron Grill, and we did the radio show here both Monday and Wednesday, because Monday they had that big ceremony, which was really cool, seeing a bunch of guys there. But I was talking about this, how for Gator fans, this has been kind of an exhausting year. And when I say year, my year starts in September and ends in June, really, because that's when there's stuff going on. July is just not even I don't even count July as a month. It's just when I'm hot and playing golf all the time. And then August is getting ready to be September, and that's the way I look at it. But at any rate, because, look, we know that most of you, 95% of you out there, your favorite two sports are football and men's basketball. And it has been exhausting to be a fan of those two teams all year for this run right now. A lot of mediocrity, a lot of bad losses, some good wins. Really, football's best win, I've said this a million times, was a 2-point loss to Alabama. But actually, now we may look back and say it was that win over Tennessee, because Tennessee caught fire after that. But it's been exhausting. And for you fans, I get it. I get when people complain, they go, man, I don't even know if I want to root. I don't even know if I want to watch that, because it gets exhausting after a while, and it's been that way. Now, I do know that there are those of you out here who go, no, gymnastics is my second favorite sport, and I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. You're the one that's drawing all the fans, like they are tonight, sold-out crowd. And there are other people that would tell you softball or maybe baseball. Gator baseball would be your second favorite sport, or even first favorite for us. But 95% of you, it's football and men's basketball. And it has been exhausting. I agree. There's no question about it. Baseball did win 2 games during the midweek since we saw you last. Got it done, got the job done. So they got Georgia State tonight and all weekend if you go out to that game. And also, I want to talk about this because, and I know I'll be talking about this with Paul Finebaum when we get him on here in just a minute, and that is the story by Dennis Dodd that was on CBS Sports, and really interesting, and it talked about how attendance declined again, and this is the 7th straight season. Now, they're not counting last year's attendance, okay? Because obviously all attendance went way up from last year. You're not counting the COVID year, but this is the 7th straight year without restrictions where attendance went down, and it went down to the 81 level. And that's not good. I mean, and the most interesting part of this, and this is one thing I really want to ask Paul about, because it's down. It's down in, for example, at Michigan, at Cincinnati, and at Baylor. They all won their conference, and their attendance was down. The only one that was up, I think, was the second highest that was up was Arkansas. And again, they went from really bad to really good, and there's a lot of enthusiasm out there. But the thing that I thought was most interesting was what Greg Sankey had to say about it. And he said, look, this is kind of a Captain Obvious thing. There's a lot of negativity about college football right now. And there is, because people don't like the transfer portal. Look, this is the main point, and then I'll get to the smaller point. The main thing is we've done everything we can for that student athletes, which is something that could have been done a lot better, and we might not have this problem, and nothing for the fans. And the fans, all they do is they're told what time the games are, and if it's Florida's playing a home game, it might be at noon in September when you might die from the heat. And things like that, playing 9 o'clock games, stuff like that. Nothing is ever done really for the fans. Prices go up, and but I do believe that Greg Sankey's right when he talks about this, the negativity around college football lately, because the transfer portal is great for the players. The coaches hate it, but really that's not the problem. The fans don't like it. They love it when you get guys in the transfer portal, but they hate it when they leave. And they look around, they go, why are all these players transferring? They don't like it. They don't like that. They don't like these NIL deals. They don't like guys getting millions of dollars. I thought they were supposed to be amateurs. They keep hearing rumblings about pay for play, that it could get to that point, which it probably will. They don't like the fact that they shot down the playoff, that they all said, hey, we're all in favor. Oh, man, more games. It's going to be so great. More big games. No, we don't want to do that yet. We don't want you to have fun. And all this stuff that's been negative coming out, and that's what you end up with. They're fans that don't want to go to games. They just don't. They say, well, I'm watching at home. There is a glut, but, I mean, I don't think that's the reason. Yes, I think TVs have gotten better and you can see the games, but I can tell you I spent an entire year watching games at home, and I'm ready to get back out. I'm ready to get back out because it's still better to be at the games. But the point is that it keeps going down. And a lot of it is a lot of the negativity. And, again, I talk about the 5 families all the time. The commissioners don't care about anything but their league. That's all they care about, and that's part of the problem. No question about it. So, all right, so we got that to talk about. We got all of our great stuff. Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend. Hand law, 3 things we'll get to as well. This, that, and the other. I got a good one for you today. It involves media days. The Adams Rubco Gator of the week we'll get to. We'll get to the Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks as well. And we will do a Big Mills cheesesteak, yes, nowhere, maybe, with Paul Finebaum. We get him on here. By the way, his appearance on the Zoom call and all appearances on the Zoom calls are now brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks. So we appreciate them as a partner as well. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. Hopefully we'll get Paul Finebaum on the show, and we will have fun talking to him here on another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hi folks, Big Mill here bringing you the sandwich of the month for February. I know I'm a little late. It's been extra busy here in the store and out and about doing some events. This month we kept it a little simple. I joined the wars, the fried chicken sandwich wars, folks. We got in it. It's a fried chicken sandwich with pickles, Big Mill sauce on our wonderful, famous Martin's potato roll. It comes with fries, folks. Something a little bit different this month. Order it with fries. Come on down and see me at Big Mills. It's street food dining at its finest.
Okay, welcome back to Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And it's a great pleasure to bring on a legend, a true legend, Mr. Paul Finebaum. Of course, you see him all the time on the Paul Finebaum Show and on everything on the SEC Network, and I mean he's just everywhere. He's on ABC, he's on ESPN. He's busy. He's staying busy, and that's great about him. Paul, how are you today on this beautiful day?
I'm doing great, and it's nice to see that you're still kicking, and you look great. And the combined age of both of us is older than many countries.
That's right. Well, you're getting ready to go do your show, and I just heard about. I read this story that one of your callers who just recently passed away, Mike from Texas, actually donated money in your name to was it the Tennessee Journalism School?
Yeah. Long story short, his mother-in-law, an Aggie, was a huge fan. She had cancer, and I met her when we were out there a couple of months ago, and she passed away recently. And at her funeral Saturday, they read a letter from her about our show, and she made a $2,500 contribution to the University of Tennessee journalism department. So you've been there, Pat, when you get calls that are very emotional, but this guy could barely get it out. It was quite a moving scene.
It's really great. It shows though what shows like that mean to people. I mean, it does, especially your show, because you've got so many loyal listeners and loyal callers that call in all the time. And this may be a subject that you'll talk about today, which was a Dennis Dodd story that I just read about declining attendance again in college football. And the most interesting thing to me was that Greg Sankey saying there's so much negative stuff going on with college football. This is why it's happening. It's not because they don't like the stadium or the big TVs. There's just too much negativity.
Yeah, I understand why Greg Sankey said that, Pat. But I will tell you this, and going as we have talked in the past, campus to campus during the season, I hear from athletic directors every week, and usually the biggest concern they have is attendance. This year it wasn't quite to the degree because of the obvious, the very small amount of fans that we had during the COVID year. But I think it has a lot more to do with where I work. I think television is really the issue. And it's an old story, Pat, but when you can sit at home and watch a game at noon, 3:30, and 7, why do you want to drive from Jacksonville to to Gainesville or somewhere else and spend 3 or 4 hours and spend all that money when you get so much more. I mean, you and I talked about it as well. When I kind of bounce around, but when I was covering sports, the worst place to be is the press box because you're not really. I realize you have an obligation to your audience, especially if you're covering Florida or Alabama, but you're missing out on everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I was telling them, the audience, I spent the whole year not going to a game this year just to see what it would be like, and I want to get back in. I want to go to press boxes, but I will miss a lot. And I remember the Florida FSU game this year. I was thinking, you know what? Maybe this will be the one game I go to. And I went, oh, wait, Ohio State, Michigan is at the same time? Right. No. I got 2 TVs. I'll be all right. But then we did see what happened last week with the commissioners coming out and saying, again, we're not going to expand for at least 4 years. We're not going to do that till then. And I think that was one of those blows where the fans go, come on, man, we want this. Why don't you just give us what we want?
Well, back to what Sankey said, I mean, there is a modicum of truth in a complete turnoff, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But Pat, I don't understand these people. I don't want to just come out and say they're all a bunch of morons because they're not. I mean, these are all smart people who are just very narrow-minded. They're very proprietary when it comes to their own fiefdoms. It's like the political mess that we have in our country today. That it doesn't matter if you're on the right or left. It doesn't make any difference what the other guy says. He's wrong. And not to have a college football playoff expansion when it was already pretty much green lighted, and it was, Pat. I mean, you don't have a 4-person working committee sign off, and then everyone said it was good until the Oklahoma-Texas situation happened, which has absolutely nothing to do with that. And then all these people decided to get mad and throw a fit and throw a tantrum and do serious damage to the sport. Because I don't know where we'll be in 4 years. I mean, we may have a 12-team playoff, or pettiness may continue to prevail.
Yeah, maybe the SEC should have waited 6 months to announce this Oklahoma-Texas thing. I think the Houston Chronicle jumped the gun on that for everybody. Maybe they wanted to keep it a secret so they could get this agreement to go to the playoff right away.
Yeah, but I mean that story was way down the track, as you know, and it was starting to get known, and there wasn't really much Sankey could do about it. And ultimately, I think the same thing would have happened if it had come out a couple weeks later. But it just shows you the pettiness of these people, and these are the most important people in college athletics. And we got to watch them up in Indianapolis 6 weeks ago at the CFP. 3 days they couldn't agree on what city they were in, and they finally shelved it. And it's disheartening. And I've rarely been at this point, but I think there is a tremendous turnoff, and there are other issues. The NIL turns off a lot of the old timers, you know that.
Yep.
The transfer portal pretty much turns off everyone. But this is where we are. And the reason why we're here is that the lack of leadership at the NCAA has, just finally capsized the entire sport.
Yeah, I was talking to our good friend Herb Vincent today, and I made the point. I said, the NCAA is very important right now because we have to have a lacrosse tournament and a women's golf tournament because that really is what they're good for now. They're very important, but they have to run everything that's not football. They've got to get involved in.
Oh, and listen, we both come from the same side of the tracks. I mean, these are a bunch of bureaucratic wonks who make sure they get their 2-hour lunch in, and they get off at 4, and they take their 14 weeks of vacation. And and legal holidays, beyond the president's, I think they take off Pat Dooley's birthday as well.
I think they do. I call them the 5 families because I just, like I said, the Tatalias cannot agree with the Corleones on this whole issue, and they only care about their own family.
But in fairness of the 5 families, I mean, so they rub out a family. At least they get something done.
That's right. They do that. I'm curious what your take is right now as we look back on this whole Brian Harsin thing, which was Auburning. Well, let's face it, we've seen this before. Guys go to airports and other stuff like that. But what your take was on the whole thing, and and how Brian Harsin, not so much how he can survive this year, but how does he survive next year? How does this keep him employed for long?
Well, let me be Captain Obvious. It was a bad hire from the beginning. I don't know where they came up with it. I mean, Billy Napier, hey, that makes sense. I mean, the guy's been in the SEC. He's been at Clemson. Brian Harsin, no earthly idea where they came up with it, other than Billy Napier and Brent Venables and about a couple other guys said no, and they were told they couldn't hire Hugh Freeze. So they ended up with this guy. It didn't work. He did a lot of the damage to himself with his staff. He picked all the wrong people, and then he tried to undo it, and then his offensive coordinator lasted 30 days. He didn't help himself on the football field. I mean, they were 6-2 at one point.
Right.
They blew a bunch of games. They had a 4-touchdown lead against Mississippi State. They had a 10-0 lead against Alabama, which seemed like 30-0.
And if he wins that game, everybody loves him.
Yeah, but and really, if Tank Bigsby had not run out of bounds, they would have won the game.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have the conversation. But it all fell apart. They tried to gin up some false allegations against him, which is shameful. But we're talking about big fat cap boosters here that are billionaires. Sure. It blew up in their face. Then they tried to force him to take a buyout. He said no. So they're stuck with him. And Pat, I don't need to tell you. I mean, you cover coaching fire in football every 4 years, so you know how this works.
We're on a roll here, yeah.
I used to think I had that problem when I covered Alabama, but you do it. You have it now, and maybe even in basketball. But that's another story. But the point being, this guy's not going to survive. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. He's got no chance.
How are my friends in Alabama taking the ones that call your show, taking that loss in the championship game? Even though I think a lot of us felt like we knew going in Georgia was a better team, and then when Jamison Williams got hurt, to me that changed the whole game. I mean, if that's a better pass thrown, he scores a touchdown and doesn't get hurt. I don't know what would have happened in that game.
Yeah, I think it would have probably come down to the final play of the game, and Alabama would have had a chance to win. And Saban said that the fans were pretty bitter first couple of days. I mean, with takes like we had the better team, and then we beat them in Atlanta, as if that the SEC championship game means anything. I think it's finally calmed down, but I think the real issue isn't so much what happened then is what's going on in College Station, what's going on in Athens from a recruiting standpoint. If Napier, if others start to make a difference, there's a feeling that Saban is impenetrable, that nothing's ever going to go wrong. But Pat, you and I have seen a lot of these stories before. He's 70 years old. Not many coaches have succeeded in their mid to late 70s. And he does not look like he wants to retire. So it will be a fascinating thing. But I think he's got a bigger issue. I think the issue for him is an East-West war with two of his proteges building monumentally good football programs at Texas A&M and especially at Georgia.
Yeah, and now Florida's got the template. And I mean, we had Katie Turner at the quarterback club here a couple of weeks ago, and who is their head of recruiting, and with the detail that they were going into of these recruits, literally picking them up in Escalades at their houses to take them to the airport in a different town. And I'm like, oh, that sounds good. That's a pretty good. That would impress me if that happened. But I don't know that it's going to translate into great players coming here. He did save the first recruiting class. But having Billy Napier recruiting against you is going to be an issue. He's going to get people's attention.
He's very impressive. I've had a couple of opportunities to interview him, and compared to Mullen, who wanted to fight you over whether it was partly cloudy or mostly cloudy, it's a relief. I think. It's how long does he take? How long does it take him to build a roster that can deal with Georgia? And it's really that simple. I don't think it will take too long, but I feel better about this hire. Of course, I thought McElwain was a good hire. So what do I know? Well,
it's funny because I was just going to say this. when McElwain got hired, all the people from Alabama were saying, "You're going to love this guy. He's great. You're going to love him. He's going to do a great job." And he wins first 2 years. They go to Atlanta, and you're like, "Well, maybe it is working out." And it just collapsed, as it seems to do here for some reason. I've never seen a fall like Dan Mullen's fall, and I know he. I mean, to think about two of your favorite guys, Dan Mullen and Urban Meyer, both collapsing at right around the same time in these high-profile jobs I still can't believe it happened.
No, I mean, I'll get to Urban in a second, but Mullen, I mean, I felt like maybe I was pushing the envelope because I started to really hammer at home when I had you on and others. What do you think? And I'd get blowback like, "Are you out of your mind? This guy's the best offensive coach in the country." I've gotten to know Dan over the years, and I spent a little time with him in Atlanta and in Indianapolis, and there was just a disconnect. He was stubborn. He had his way, and it just wasn't going to work. And I think it was better for him that he got fired and didn't have to just go through all the torment that he would have gone through, I think, in the future. But give Scott Strickland credit, though. I mean, he had this one figured out. And he wasted no time. It was a seamless coaching search, and I think it will turn good residuals. I have no doubt. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I know or or anyone knows when the corner gets turned, but I don't think it's going to be too long.
Yeah, and it's just strange that he and Urban were so close, as friends, and worked on the same staff, and that the hammer came down on both of them.
Yeah, and the Urban thing is, I mean, you could not have predicted Urban Meyer out of the NFL, and who knows, maybe out of coaching forever. I mean, I think
he's done.
I mean, it's that's that. I mean, Dan can survive. I mean, he's still, he didn't do anything so egregious that you would have a hard time introducing him. I mean, Urban Meyer. I don't think I've ever seen a guy go from one of the hottest coaches in the country to just completely disintegrate in that period of time. But I'm not overly surprised that his personality finally overwhelmed him, and that a lot of people began to see him as the worthless human being that I've always thought he was.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. That's what I was waiting for. All right, before we let you go, Paul, we have this game we play called Yes, No Way, or Maybe. So you have to answer yes, no way, or maybe to these three questions. It is brought to you by Big Mill's Cheesesteaks, and if you go in and say that you listened to the Pat Dooley podcast, you can get free French fries with your order. How about that? You'll drive all the way down here for that.
I'm on the app right now.
All right, here we go. Number one, Nick Saban is the coach at Alabama 5 years from now. Yes, no way, or maybe.
I'm going to say no way. I don't think he will. I know what everybody says. I'm in the minority here, Pat, but I think it's going to happen I think he'll be gone sooner than that.
That's interesting. Yeah, he may be. Number two, Tennessee football wins 9 games next year. That's your alma mater now. Be careful.
You're going to make me do this to my alma mater. No way.
Their schedule's tough. Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, this is a good one for you. An SEC team wins the national championship in basketball this year.
I am going to say yes, no way, or maybe, but not an enthusiastic maybe.
I like the teams in this league this year. I mean, Kentucky, but then all of a sudden you'll watch Kentucky and you go, there's their NCAA getting out game. I mean, you got to play well every night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to continue to say this year what I said all of last year. The best team in the country is Gonzaga, and they will win it. And one of these days, I'll be right.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, we're at Spurrier's tonight. Have you been here yet?
I have not been to Gainesville since it opened. So is it going well for the HBC?
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's packed every night, and it is a shrine to him too. So when you walk in here, you'll know what I mean. But
knowing him, I'll come down there this fall, and I'll be outside waiting an hour and a half to get in.
Table? I didn't see you with the table. Paul,
always as soon as we come back to Gainesville. I can't wait.
Paul, it's always great talking to you, man. Appreciate your time and keep it going, man. You're doing such great work with the SEC Network, and we love watching you, love listening to you, and I got you on my Sirius radio too, so I get you everywhere.
Pat, it's a pleasure. I really am glad to still be remembered by the Pat Dooley, the Dooley Noted Podcast, one of my favorite names of all podcasts.
There you go. Thanks a lot, Paul. We'll see you. We got to take a break.
Thanks,
and really appreciate Paul Finebaum for joining us on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line. And that is true, though. If you do get if you go and mention the podcast, you get to get free French fries. All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back with all of our fun stuff that we always do in the third segment when we return on Another Dooley Noted Podcast from, obviously, from Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, but in the Meldon Law Gator Studios, presented by Titan MRI.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hi folks, Big Mill here bringing you the sandwich of the month for February. I know I'm a little late. It's been extra busy here in the store and out and about doing some events. This month we kept it a little simple. I joined the wars, the fried chicken sandwich wars, folks. We got in it. It's a fried chicken sandwich with pickles, Big Mill sauce on our wonderful, famous Martin's potato roll. It comes with fries, folks. Something a little bit different this month. Order it with fries. Come on down and see me at Big Mills. It's street food dining at its finest.
All right, welcome back. Another edition of Another Duly Noted Podcast, and appreciate Reagan for doing a great job with the production today. Evan's out for today. He had something he had to handle, and he'll be back Monday. And I think Reagan may be doing the show again Friday. And we have just gotten confirmation that Kevin Carter will be our guest Friday. So we're going to go Finebaum, Spurrier, Kevin Carter. Dude, that is just ridiculous to have guests like that, huh? We need to get raises, I think, over here. That reminds me, I got to call Philip about something. All right, so appreciate Paul Finebaum for being on and doing such a great job. Always interesting talking to him. Just what he said about Urban Meyer, man, that was body blow, man. That was sweet in a way. Look, and that's the weird thing about my relationship with Urban Meyer is, I get along with him in so many levels and so many different ways, and then something happens and I go, no, I'm done with him. And then something else happens and he reaches out or I reach out to him, and I don't know what to think of him anymore. I really don't. He's not going to the Ring of Honor. I know that. I think we're done with the Ring of Honor. I don't talk. I just don't think it'll ever happen. It may be that they wheel him out there. 84 years old, but he made it here. I'm going in the Ring of Honor. Hey. And he wants to go, man. He ain't going. Not for a long time. All right, it is time for us to do the Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend. We love the great people at Hesser and Kipke who not only bring us games of the weekend, but the Monday spreads. And we love them for being double sponsors. So that's cool. Hesser and Kipke is a law firm based in Hale Plantation specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. We were texting back and forth the other day, Ken Hesser and I. He was here, and I said, at Spurs, I said, get a 5220, man. 5220 is the best beer in the world. I love that 5220. Made just for him. All right, so let us get to the games of the weekend, and I will start with gymnastics tonight. I'd tell you to go, but you can't get a ticket. It's sold out. It's Florida. It's Oklahoma. Florida's 2, I think. Oklahoma's 3 in the country. It should be high-level gymnastics. I cannot wait to watch it at home. I will be sitting there watching it. And Florida just continues to be really good. So, and they are playing at an extremely high level. So you got that going on. The national basketball game of the week to me is Kansas at Baylor. That'll be a big game. I think they're both in the top 10. And those are two teams that you look at and you go, well, I think Kansas could win it all this year. Baylor just won it all. And, I mean, I know they've had a couple of stumbles lately, but they played really well all year. So that's a great game. The SEC basketball game of the week is good, just about as good. Kentucky at Arkansas. It's a 2:00 game. And the reason it's so good is that because the Arkansas is playing at a high, incredible level. You saw what they just did to Florida. And so, I mean, I think they've won 12 out of 13 now. So that'll be a heck of a game. And I'd pick it right now. I'd say Kentucky will lose that game because a road game like this, a crazy crowd, I think they'll lose it. And I don't know, they're a mysterious team. If they get both of those guys back, Severe Wheeler and Ty Washington, and they get them in a couple games, and let me tell you what, the SEC tournament for Kentucky this year is going to be, let's get ready for the national tournament. And that's the way Calipari approaches it every year. He says the fans get all, we want to win this tournament. I want to win the next tournament. But anyway, so that game is on. That'll be fun to watch after the Florida game, which, of course, is at noon against Georgia. Look, the Florida-Georgia game, Florida can't lose that game. They lose that game, you might as well just call it. It's done. Can't lose to those guys. But they potentially can. All right, so that is the SEC game of the week. Also, we've got Senior Day for the women, as we said, is at noon game, so against Missouri. So you can get out there and support the women, and that'll be great. Also, women's golf. Women's golf is playing at home, and both the men and the women only have one tournament a year at home. And here's the women's chance, Saturday and Sunday. So if you want to go out, I'm sure it'll be beautiful days. Get out there in this beautiful sunshine and watch a little golf. I know a lot of people showed up for the men's tournament, and they've got a very good team. So that'll be great. And we don't have softball in town this week. We do have baseball Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's a good games of the weeks. But softball is at UCF at they're having a tourney down there. I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we have that to keep track of. So once again, I will have plenty of options for picking my I blanked out there for just a moment. My Adams Ribco to go Gator of the Week. And we have one coming up right now. Our Adams Ribco to go Gator of the Week. It is Natalie Lugo. Natalie Lugo's been the Gator of the Week before, or the Gator of the Weekend sometimes, because she's such a good pitcher and has pitched so well. But I know it's 5 innings, but she pitched a no-hitter earlier this week. 3 walks and 4 strikeouts in the game. So, but anyway, Natalie Lugo is our Adams Ribco to go Gator of the Week, and we appreciate Adam and for all he does. And that's pretty good. You know, if you pitch a 5-inning no-hitter in a 7-inning game, do you say you pitch a no-hitter? Like I asked I asked one of the pitchers a couple of years ago that question. They go, well, yeah, it was a no-hitter. Yeah, it was, but it's not a no-hitter. You know, Jeff and I used to have this argument all the time. But anyway, that's our Adams Ribco to go Gator of the Week. Let us go to 3 things. They are all, as always, presented by the great people at Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. Appreciate Chris Hand. 3 things. Here we go. 3 Gators were drafted in the USFL draft. Yay! All right, Adam Schuler to Tampa Bay, Nick Buchanan, and Mark Thompson to Houston. Ain't doing it for me. That's not going to bring me into that. You know, if you drafted Chris Doring and Jacquez Green, I would watch it. I would want to see how bad they did because they'd be, you know, out of shape. But I mean, the beauty of the USFL was that it competed with the NFL. This league is obviously going to try to be a feeder, but not compete. And that's what the XFL is, the same way. The USFL, which I covered and was, God, it was just so much fun, was great football. I mean, I think there were 58 players who played in the NFL who played in the USFL. I mean, that's how many, that's the kind of quality football players you were seeing. I loved it. This is just going to be kind of like, here's some place for you to play football. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get into it. I'm not a believer in the argument of if it's football, you'll watch it. I don't. I haven't watched any of these other leagues. I covered many leagues. I covered the American Football Association. Don Gaffney was the quarterback of that. Jacksonville Firebirds. I covered the USFL, the WFL. I've covered it all. I didn't really cover the Alliance, but I watched it. I watched the games on TV. Anyway, I like these leagues, but it sounds like this one's going to be not. I don't believe you can just watch football to watch football. I think you have to have a rooting interest of some kind. Like I could watch all the Alliance games because I had a rooting interest. I rooted for Coach Spurrier, and if there was a team 1 game behind him, I could watch it because I'd root against them. You know. Anyway, I think you see my point. That's number 1. Number 2, I get this, but I also don't like it. I don't want to watch it. But ESPN's fascination with the NBA is just unbelievable. I mean, once the NFL shuts down, they totally switch that gear and they go, like we switch from being college football fans to college basketball fans. They go from NFL fans to the NBA. And I mean, okay, I get it. The Lakers stink. This is not good for LeBron's legacy. They're under 500. They're going to try to make the play-in game. Okay, okay, you can tell me that in 1 minute. There, I told you. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Anthony Davis is hurt. There, I've covered the Lakers story. I just don't care that much, but I do care about the Chicago Bulls because I love my man Billy Donovan. I couldn't name 3 players on their team, but I root for them when I see their scores mostly. I don't really sit and watch NBA games, okay? I watch a lot of college. All right, so that's that. And then number 3 on Hand Law's 3 things. Major League Baseball, I am now at the point where just let me know. Just let me know when you're going to start playing games, and I'll watch a couple. And obviously, when you play 162 games, or maybe it's going to be 150 games, I'm not going to watch them all, but just let me know. I don't really want to read the stories or hear the stories about what is going wrong with the labor negotiations. I do know this. The Atlanta Braves made $568 million last year. They just came out with that information. Pay Freddie Freeman his money. Guys, I'm telling you this. I've been a Braves fan since I was a little boy and used to listen to Milo Hamilton on the radio. That ball's going to take off and roll. The big boy, Rico Carty. I've been a Braves fan for a long time. I caught a lot of flack last year because I told people I abandoned them. And what I really did was I didn't die with every score. I just knew that all those injuries, all those missing pieces, and then they did what they did, and I, of course, jumped right back on the bandwagon. But, I mean, I always had one foot on there. I still love the Braves. You let Freddie Freeman go, I'm done. I'm done. I am canceling. I'm throwing away all my shirts. I'm done with you. And the rumor is, team that's really interested in him, the Mets. You let him go to the Mets, I'm done. I'm never coming up to that stadium. I'm not going to buy anything Braves-oriented. I know it won't have any much of an impact on your $538 million. Give the man his money. Do it now or else. You don't want to lose me as a fan. All right, so those are our three things presented by Hand Law. We do need to get to Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. We did have some qualifiers of our last show. So I got them all written down. I think maybe it'll be 2 Fridays. So we'll have Kevin Carter on next Friday, and then the following Friday we'll have Robbie, and we'll do a drawing that day and get your stuff to you. In fact, I've gone blank on his name. The guy I just met at the bar here to give him his stuff, who went to the baseball game, and then we were in another place, and he was there. He happened to be there too. So it's kind of cool. We get to see him. So, what was his name? I can't think. Was it Bob Julian? I think. I don't know. I'm blanking on names lately. Having a real problem. It's called getting old. All right. So, but we do have some qualifiers, and let's try to get some more. Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks, and we appreciate the great people at Leonardo's and Kyle Cohen, the great job he does there. And we'll make it pretty simple. It is senior day, not night, senior day for the women's basketball team. They've had an unbelievable season. We all know that. 20-8, I think they are now, after those 2 losses. But they need to kind of right the ship. But it's going to be simple. The over-under I'm setting for Kiki Smith is 16 points. You can bet over or under. Very simple. You type in over. You send it to patrickdooley54@gmail.com, and you hit send. Just that simple. You may qualify for the contest. Or you say under. Type it in. Boom. Send it on. So that is our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks for the day. I think the only thing we have left to cover is our favorite thing. We always love doing it, This, That, and the Other, which is presented by Ballyhoo Grill, the great people over there. Bill Reichert. He does a great job. We love him. And, of course, Dar Shakow. I ran into John Dar Jr. The other day over here, and we talked about his sponsorship and how great it is and how much we appreciate it. And the Ironwood Golf Course, and you talk about a place that's packed. Right now, it is really packed. By the way, there's some movement on some things at another course that's closed down, so stay tuned. I'll let you know when that becomes a little bit closer to a reality. But one of the courses in town may be reopening. We'll see. Anyway, this, that, and the other. Okay, this is that media days were announced today. What days everybody will be speaking. And so when I first saw it, my first reaction was, I know when Florida's going to go. They go for first day every time. Sometimes they go first, sometimes they go second, first day. But that was that I said, hey, where are they? Well, they don't speak until the 3rd day, Billy Napier. So, and he's right before Kirby, too. That's, people are going to say, we want Kirby. Get Kirby up there. We want the national championship coach. But he will be a hide item on that. That July 20th, by the way, in Atlanta is when media days are. And the other is the last speaker I think it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The last speaker on Thursday to go, Jimbo Fisher, and those poor ladies that do the stenography. It's not just ladies. I've seen guys do it there too, but I know some of the women that do it, and I've talked to them about it. That's going to be. They're going to have to go in shifts, because when Jimbo starts talking, it doesn't. It's just. And they've told me, man, they've cramped up. They almost got to bring in somebody from the bullpen. You got to take the second quote. It is funny. We have fun with that. And they like making fun of it, but they do a great job. They get it all down. So that is the other with that, and it'll be curious to see. I think there's one day it's Saban. I want to say it's Pittman. No, Pittman speaking on the day that Napier goes, but I think it's Saban. Maybe Josh Heupel, who was just here at Spurs, getting that award. Then Shane Beamer, and then Vanderbilt's coach. Who's going to sit there for that? You talk about a room that'll empty out when he gets up there. So it'll be interesting. But and somebody was asking me, said, "Hey, are you going to go to that?" I go, "I don't think so." Somebody asked me the other day, "Are you going to go to the SEC basketball tournament since it's in Tampa?" I go, "Well, I'd like to, but nobody's paying for me to stay in a room anymore. People paid me to go to these games and paid for my hotels and paid for my meals and paid for my cars and paid for my flights. It was glorious. What a great job it was to be a newspaper guy." But I don't think that's something you think about. Now you sit there and go, "Well, yeah, why don't we go? Kelsey, why don't you go, because you love it?" "Yeah, where are we going to stay at?" Hey, we had to find something really cheap. Not down, like we used to stay when they played it in Tampa. We would stay at the Waterside Marriott, which is one of the nice hotels in the world. Maybe I shouldn't have retired. Maybe I should have stayed with it. Finally, a happy birthday to Joakim Noah. And I'll tell you my favorite Joakim Noah story. And that was at the Final Four in Indianapolis. So that was the first one. And there, a bunch of people around his locker room, and they're all asking him all these questions. And finally, I just decided just out of nowhere, because people were calling him by different names, because that pronunciation of that name is it depends on what your language is. So it may be Joakim or Joakim or whatever. So I said, "Hey, Joe," I said, "how do you pronounce your name? What's the best way to pronounce your name?" And everybody kind of looked. They were looking back at Joe, and he was, "Whatever you want to call me. It's fine with me. I don't care." He says, I don't care what. If you can call me Joakim, you can call me Joe, you can call me Joakim, however it makes you happy." And I'm like, oh, writers are all writing it down. This guy's unbelievable. You covered him all year. How do you deal with all these great quotes? He was my favorite of all time. I would put Joakim Noah. That's how I pronounce it. Joakim Noah and Bridget Sloan is my top 2 interviews of all time. I love both of them. And I love that Reagan got through this today. He did a great job. And we will be back on Monday with Coach Spurrier. Can't wait for that. I got some good questions for him. And then on Friday with Kevin Carter. So, look, stay with this show. Stay with Another Dooley Noted Podcast. We love our listeners. We love all of the people that get involved in it, that get involved in our contest. Love our advertisers. And we're just going to keep banging you with great guests. And appreciate Reagan again. So, for Another Dooley Noted Podcast, presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, I am deep, I am way back, and I am out of here.